Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. I'm Vanessa Povajayev, Director of Professional Learning Community Outreach, Berkshire Local School District. Over the past year and 4 months, we've worked in close collaboration with Commissioner Dvorak, County Engineer Andy Hote, Burton Township and village leaders, the JED, and Tool Design Group licensed engineers and consultants through Ohio Department of Transportation to strengthen our Safe Routes to School travel plan. This effort evaluated how students travel and identified critical infrastructure needs to safely connect them to our pre-K through 12 campus on Clarendon Troy Road. Through this process, we identified several significant safety concerns. North of the village boundary, sidewalks are limited, forcing students to walk along the road shoulder. Traffic speeds increase from 35 to 45 miles per hour near the school, with over 6,600 vehicles traveling the corridor daily, including large trucks. While 15% of our students, which is 228, live within 2 miles, walking and biking still remain very limited due to these unsafe conditions. There also have been pedestrian and bicycle crashes in the area, including 1 serious injury. To address these concerns, we are asking for your support of a competitive grant submission as applicant and fiscal agent of a $970,000 Safe Routes to Schools infrastructure grant. This is a timely opportunity as the funding cap has increased from $500,000 to $1 million this year. The proposed project includes installing sidewalks along the west side of Clarendon Troy Road, along with mid-block crosswalks at the school access road, the practice fields north of Fisher Road, and Berkshire Lane. The school access crossing would include a median refuge island and additional safety enhancements. We are only asking for this aspect as we wanted to keep it under $1 million. This is phase 1 of what would be potentially 3 phases to a total of a $2.5 million ask to have sidewalks on both sides, which we obviously know and understand the value. But in terms of a grant application, we did not want to put anybody at a fiscal responsibility of more what grant dollars could be obtained. This project improves not only student safety, but also community connectivity between the Village of Burton and the Berkshire and Kent State Geauga campuses. Our team has provided all grant requirements, the travel plan, student travel analyses, surveys, stakeholder walk audits, coordination with local and state partners, and a certified cost estimate. We respectfully ask the commissioners to support this project by serving as the applicant and fiscal agent, authorizing submission, adopting the required infrastructure resolution, and coordinating with the county engineer's office. While the district has prepared the application, the county as a roadway authority is required for eligibility. This is an important opportunity to improve safety, expand access for all, and better connect our community. We appreciate the commissioner's time, potential partnership, and of course all Geauga County support in this endeavor.
So I read the resolution you provided. Section 2 of that states the total cost of the project is estimated to be blank, which would be about $1 million, right? Of which the LPA, the local public agency, which would be us, if awarded the funds, we'd agree to pay 100% of the construction cost over and above the maximum amount provided by the state of Ohio. So that, to me, is a bit of a red flag.
I've expressed my concern to the grant manager regarding that infrastructure ordinance and that section. I have proposed that potentially a resolution could be determined to, if we were to obtain the dollars, to only that amount, and then we would scale back and shift the project and changes to that. I have expressed my concerns to the grant manager about that particularly, and I agree that it's a concern. I have tried to propel some conversations forward with the local Area 12 Transportation Director, Neil Shop, as well as Kate Hartley at Ohio Department of Transportation regarding that matter, and I will continue to endeavor that further.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, we'd have to have some kind of like side agreement, I think, where you would pay for the overages and not.
Well, that would be something that I would, of course, communicate to my board.
Yeah, if it couldn't be stripped entirely. I mean, and then I guess the big question for me, I mean, we're not just being asked to support this, which I would support this, you know,
Right.
I support any agency that wants to claw back money from the state, But we're actually being asked to apply and then administer this grant. And I have concerns if if our staff has that capacity, frankly.
I completely understand. I've expressed my concerns that it would be more beneficial for this grant application to shift to the fiscal agent being us. However, the reality of, and then partner accordingly with those
Right.
involved. That is something that I've expressed my concern. Now, I have spoken to other school districts who have obtained this grant historically. Painesville City Local School District, Riverside Local School District, and Lake County obtained a numerous amount of these sidewalk grants. And yes, at the time, those grants were still in the aspect of whoever the roadway authority being the primary applicant. And that is what we've been communicated. That's what we've been told. Again, I completely understand the situation on all ends. I wish that they would shift this and perhaps it could propel some agency for change through going through these processes. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and certainly I see advantages to it beyond just the school, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I think
of
it would
course.
benefit the fair.
The fair, it
and
makes
local residents
sense.
as well. But I mean, I guess we would have to have more of an internal conversation as far as if our office has the capacity to handle this.
Sure. And when I asked specifically about that infrastructure ordinance, they also said potential or another format of county resolution. And so maybe there's a way we can navigate that to say particularly to the extent of the dollar amounts obtained, and then we would scale back that work to that being inclusive only of that amount. I'm not sure if they would fully consider application in line with other competitive asks across the state, but that's where I'm kind of at a loss myself. I'm trying.
With phase one, would that be on the east side or the west side of the street?
Phase one would be west side. We determined as a collective and with the tool design consultants that due to the costs and potential additional drainage that would need to incur and remove and removing some of those utility lines, that we would start with the west side. Oftentimes what I did find out through investigating and researching with school districts and Ohio Department of Transportation regarding these grants is when when districts were funded and they got into the grants, that ODOT did work tirelessly with those districts to find additional funding sources to kind of incur additional costs. I mean, obviously it's through phases, and I didn't provide it, but I can give you kind of what the phase out would be in terms of the research of the environmental research and then the detailed design. It would be a project over 2027 was focused on kind of the environmental, and then it would be phased out over 3 years. And it was in the actual application. I did supply it, but I have another document if you wanted to see that. We also did calculate a 20% inflation cost and the estimate cost, and the estimated cost estimate. You probably saw that, yeah.
For the Lake County ones, were those done through the city or through the county?
I believe that one was done through the city and one was done through the county. And the one, Concord Hampton Road where Park Elementary is, that was one of the schools that had the sidewalks installed upon new construction when those schools were built. And that did significantly help with the families, the local families for access to school, as well as it did slow down the road. They have a 25 mile per hour speed, even though that is a very high traveled road. I also did some research, I was inquiring to find out what did other cities look like. Example is Medina, for example, has 9,000 cars and trucks going through a city that size on a daily basis. And I thought that was quite interesting that we have 6,600 cars and trucks traveling in such a small village area, which is why it's so important that we create infrastructure.
So I guess let me ask you just a couple questions. As far as with the village, are they willing to get on board with any of this?
The village and the township trustees have agreed to collaborate to take care of the maintenance of the sidewalks, and we did incorporate that in the plan.
And as far as timing on this, when is the deadline for this?
So we actually, the grant was already due, and we applied as a school district. We were allowed to apply and then communicate if after to replace our application with the counties being the lead. So we were allowed that timeline to do that. It comes up every year. It opens up in January. This was the first year I saw it jump from $500,000 to $1 million. So I thought that was an opportunity, obviously. We had been working on this for over a few years of just developing in general a stronger safe school travel plan in general for our families. And then we were presented with an opportunity from Ohio Department of Transportation to obtain at no cost $25,000 of consultation and free service of licensed senior engineers through a consultant group who have done these projects before. So we capitalized on that opportunity to get here. If you were to potentially adopt an infrastructure ordinance and move forward with becoming the applicant, then we would, ideally, they're asking for this to be submitted by April 1st. I do think that if I went back with it to them and said that that would take us a little bit longer, they could potentially work with us. Typically, they review the applications in May, and then we're notified in August. So I might be able to give us a little bit more time on that. Thank you.
Well, I definitely support this Safe Route to School program. We just have to check what we can do and run it past the prosecutor, things like that, so.
Of course. Thank you so much for
And
your
then in the
time.
meantime, are you going to go back to talk to them and see if they would adjust some of the
I will, yes.
concerns and
I'm
stuff?
gonna,
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what and I appreciate that because I wanted to be able to say I did this and this is now where the concerns lie. May there be another way or avenue for us to explore this.
Okay. No, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, and I'll let you know. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I
Thanks.
appreciate your
Appreciate it.
time.